Hello? Is this thing on? You guys, have you missed me? I have missed you so much, and I've missed the podcast so much. If you are listening, like a normal podcast, then you won't know that right now I am actually sitting in front of a camera. And I don't know what you call this. Is it vlogcast? I have no idea. But basically, the whole point why I'm doing this is I love to listen to podcasts, but I also love to watch them when people are in studio or whatever. Sometimes there's just more of a personal feel. So right now I'm looking to a camera and doing this. And if this makes sense and if it turns out all right, if you too like to watch podcasts, you can watch this one back. But anyways, before I jump back into the podcast, I decided that there really needed to be a life update because it has been, my goodness, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, like 6 months almost since I've done this podcast. That has not been intentional. I definitely took a break intentionally. I just didn't intend it to be this long. And if you follow me on Instagram, which I'm sure 99.999% of you do, maybe even I can be bold and say 100% of you guys follow me, and that's how you found out about the podcast. That's how you know when there are new episodes. I was so convinced that June 1st was going to be the comeback of the podcast. And here we are. Right now that I'm recording this, it is August 6th. And it is at night. It is almost 9 o'clock. And, but basically, let me just give you guys a little life update so that you know where we're at, you know where we've been. And then next week we will have an all new podcast. It's going to be so much fun. And I'm trying to get Kellen to co-host with me because it's always so nice when he's on. I love talking to another person on the podcast. And he obviously is my favorite human being on the entire planet because he's my husband. So if you choose to spend your life with someone, they better be your favorite person on the whole planet. But quick life update, we had a baby. Yay! This is if I had a soundboard, the cheering. I'd be like, yay, in the background. Most of you, if not all of you, know our story. If you don't, just listen to the previous podcast, and I share all of it there. But it is a very redemptive story because we now have our sweet baby girl. I'm actually looking at the baby monitor right now. We put her to bed at 8:30, and she is sleeping like just a sweet little angel. And my gosh, you guys, motherhood is so much better than anyone told me. Not that they didn't sell me on it, but it's just so much better than I ever could have imagined. I had a friend come over the other day who I also would like to get on the podcast because she has such a cool story and I love her so much. Hi, Amy. But she was asking me, she's like, so parenthood, you really, because anyone who knows me knows that I've always wanted to be a mom. It has not been something that I'm like, ooh, I want to fit in motherhood along with all my other goals and aspirations. It has been like number one, well, up there with number one with like being a wife and being a mother above all else. So here I finally am a mother. And she said, you know, is it everything you imagined? Is it more, you know? And I was like, it is so much more. And I'm someone who wanted it so badly and still it's so much more. So it's just been the greatest, most wonderful experience ever. Yeah, I just can't even say enough good stuff about it. And there is a podcast coming with her birth story. Oh my gosh, should I tell you her name? I think most of you know because you follow me on Instagram, but her name is Ashton Lily Lutz. And she was born on February 22nd, 2021, 222. And she was just she's just been such a light in our life. She is basically almost 6 months, 5.5 months almost, and she's just laughing and her personality is really coming through. She is very similar to Kellen, which is not shocking, but she looks like him. Her personality, I think she favors him a little bit. But it's just cool to see her being her own person. You know, she's really coming into her own and developing that strong will that I know she has, but it's been the greatest experience ever. So that's number one of what happened in our life. I'm so happy. And I also just want to quickly just say thank all of you who have prayed with us, mourned with us, cried with us, but also rejoiced with us and celebrated with us. And when I do share things about her on social media or whatnot, which isn't a ton, but sometimes, the amount of you who just are so happy with us, it blesses our hearts so much to know that she has so many aunties and a couple uncles out there who just love her, and that you guys just have been so supportive of us. We do appreciate it, and it does feel kind of like an extended family in a way, because you guys have really been on this crazy whirlwind journey with us. So we're just super happy to be here and have our sweet little girl. But we obviously were in New York. Kellen is on a show called FBI Most Wanted, and season 2 wrapped up. We came back here. Flying 6 hours with a 3-month-old was terrifying, but ended up being great. She slept almost the whole time, so go Ashton. She does not nap like that normally. Her naps are like 20 to 30 minutes. So the fact that she slept the whole flight was God, definitely like being kind to us. But we ultimately decided to move out of that New York house. And so that meant that while Kellen was having his long work days and I had a 2-month-old going on 3-month-old, I was packing up our entire home. Which I don't know how I did it. I look back and I'm like, what? How did that happen? I think God just really blessed my time and my efforts. Thank you, Lord. But we decided to just basically move back to California. So Kellen has been flying in and out. The show has been so supportive and so wonderful in allowing him to do so. But we moved from New York all the way across country back to LA, to our home. And then we decided that we wanted to be even closer to family. So we moved from LA down to Orange County, which is where my family is. Kellen's mom lived here for a long time. She just moved back to Arizona, but she's looking to potentially move back out here at some point. So basically it's just, and his dad is here, not in Orange County, but on the West Coast. So basically we just prayed about it long and hard. And God just made it really clear that we were to be close to family. So we prayed about it. Kellen obviously works on the East Coast, but they've been really gracious thus far. And we really strongly feel like it was the right thing to do. Not one day have we woken up and been like, did we make a mistake? And Kellen's just been such a rock star with, doing that bi-coastal life. Thanks, baby. I love you. We appreciate you so much. But that's been going on. Unpacking while he's been out of town working with a baby has been not happening as quickly as I thought it would, but it's just, she's so much fun that I don't even mind. But we do have a pool here, so we've been doing a lot of swimming this summer, seeing family a lot, which has just been so incredible. This is what we were missing, and this is what I definitely was sad about when I was pregnant, because I was like, gosh, man, I want her to be in her family's life and her family to be in her life, people that love her so much. And, obviously with COVID and everything, we really didn't make friends or have a deep community in New York because you really couldn't go anywhere. All of the normal places where you would go and meet people were all shut down. So we were discouraged a little bit, but then God really had us pray about moving back here, and we did, and we have no regrets at all. And like I said, Kellen has just been phenomenal with traveling back and forth. So we'll see. But then it's kind of hilarious because my parents now are tossing around the idea of moving to one of the main states that everyone's going to, like a Tennessee or a Texas or something like that. So if that's the case, then who knows? We might end up there, which is a much closer commute for Kellen. But basically, the number one thing right now and the number one priority in our life, especially for Ashton, is just to be around family and to be with family. So that's that. But yeah, that's kind of bringing up to speed. We actually, unfortunately, we were renting this house. I didn't say that. We were renting in Orange County because it was kind of a spontaneous, like, let's put our house on the market and move closer to family. And so we're renting down here. We love it. We're in Newport Beach, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of funny in full circle because I grew up not very far from here. So this is the beach that I would go to. Like, I would go to Newport Beach in high school. So I kind of feel like a throwback to my younger years, my younger self. But it's wonderful. It's so beautiful. And yeah, it's just been awesome. So starting next week, we will be back with more regularly scheduled programming, if you will. More devotions, more conversations. I recorded a few podcasts with my mom when she was visiting us in New York right after Ashton was born, but I was so exhausted and so tired that looking back and listening back, I think I'm going to redo them. She is so full of wisdom, and I want to make sure that I ask questions that will really bring out all of the wisdom. Basically, most of you know this, I think, if you saw my little updates and questions that I was doing, but I wanted to interview her and ask her about raising godly children, because there's three of us. It's myself and I have two brothers. We're all married. I have a nephew, but we all love God. We're all serving God. Our spouses are serving God. And a lot of people, the reason why we did this podcast wasn't just out of thin air. I was like, Lord, we're so great. Hey, Mom, interview us. It wasn't that at all. There have just been so many questions. People asking me how to raise godly children. How do I, or women that are a little bit older and they have daughters my age, and they're like, man, what did your parents do? How do you love God so much? Was there anything that they did that maybe we can do with our kids to encourage them in their walk with God? So I asked my mom, I was like, hey, can I ask you some questions? So there are some amazing questions that she answered before that I'm gonna ask again, and probably some even better ones. But yes, we have a lot to come. I definitely am gonna share Ashton's birth story, which was a little wild and crazy. Not what we planned, not what we expected, but I feel like, gosh, so many birth stories are like that, where you have a plan or a loose plan. Even the loose plans don't work, guys. But it's always for the best. And she's here and she's safe, and I'm here and I'm safe. And that is literally all I wanted for. That was on my wish list, and it's done. So anyways, the last thing before I close out this little life update quick podcast is I wanted to share something that God has really been speaking to me about. And if he's speaking to me about it, he might be speaking to you about it, or maybe he's speaking to me so that I can share it with you. We'll see. But lately obviously with having a newborn who's moving into being a baby and being busy, and she's like almost crawling, and she's getting more demanding and letting me know what she likes and doesn't like. I'm trying to unpack a house after we moved 2 houses to 1 house. We have so much going on. My husband is gone a lot because he's working, providing for our family. So blessed to be near family that helps here and there, of course. And man, any of you mamas who don't have family nearby, you guys are such rock stars. And I really pray that you have some form of a community or some form of help once in a while that can help you guys. But yeah, it's just something I've been praying about, or talking to God about, or he's been revealing to me, I guess I should say, is often I think we have all experienced, if you're a believer, moments where you feel like God is really speaking to you, and it's like the coolest thing ever, because you just, when he's speaking to you, you're like, yes, this is awesome, this is wonderful. And then there are those other seasons that you're like, hey, like, I don't hear your voice. Like, where are you? What are you doing? And I think there's a few different reasons for that, but the one specifically that we've really been talking about and that he's been speaking to me about is has to do with like noise and voices. And obviously right now, if you are alive, there's probably a lot of voices that you hear, even if you stay in your house, if you're on social media, if you watch the news, if you have friendships, if you have family members. There are a lot of voices right now, and a lot of people who have opinions about things, strong stances about things. There's just a lot going on. I think we can all agree on that, from a global scale down to a micro scale. And I remember just being like, God, I remember crying out and being like, God, I really want to hear from you, because I'm feeling so much anxiety and I'm overwhelmed, and it feels too heavy to go on. It feels heavy some days, and I feel like I'm in a hole, and I know that's not you. So I want to hear your voice. And it literally was almost clear as day. He was talking to me saying, essentially, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Basically, God, where are you? I can't hear your voice. And he brought the scripture into my mind that says he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's unchanging. And he basically kind of said to me, hey, I'm unchanging. My voice is steady and it is the same. And if you're not hearing it, I have enough self-respect that I'm not going to shout over the noise that you're allowing to get your attention. And it's not to say that God won't come and get you, that he won't shout, he won't get your attention. So don't mishear me. I'm not saying that. But for me in my life, he was basically saying, hey, if you can't hear me, I'm constant and I'm steady. Rather than me raising my voice, why don't you lower the voices in your head or that you're allowing into your life? Why don't you lower the noise level so that you can hear me? And I was so convicted in a great way. I didn't feel bad, but I was like, you're right. There is so much noise. And here I'm asking you, like, it's like I'm shouting over the noise to God, being like, hey, can you talk to me? Without realizing I'm shouting over all this noise. And his whole thing is just kind of like, no, like when you want to adjust, you adjust it and you'll hear me because I'm constant and I'm steady. And I was like, oh man, that's so good. It's not that he's being quiet. It's just that I can't hear him because I have too much noise in my life. So I don't know where you guys are at today. I don't know if that resonates with any of you, but if I can just encourage you in that, I've been trying to adjust my noise, and practically what that looks like in my life is, realistically, social media. I do see my family, but I have a baby, so socially, I'm not out much. I do not have a job where I'm going to an office and working with people, so the voices truly are coming through the little device in my hand or the box in the living room. And those are very, practically, those are easy things to turn off, but then sometimes we discover that we're addicted a little bit to it and that we have an unhealthy relationship with it and an unhealthy connection because it's hard to turn those things off. Or without even thinking about it, we just swipe on up, and then all of a sudden we're back in the sea of voices. So one thing I've definitely done is I have muted pretty much every single person on Instagram, not for any other reason. It has nothing to do, I follow people from all different walks of life, all different lifestyles, all different political beliefs. I've been really blessed to make a lot of friends. There are a few that I have my core group, but I have a lot of friends and I love them. But I don't care even if I agree with you. Even if I agree with you, sometimes it's too much noise. And does God want me listening to it? Is it too loud to where I can't hear the voice of God, which is what I want to hear? And often that's a yes. So right now what I've done is I've essentially muted every single person on Instagram. So if I go to share something, if I go to post something, I'll go on, but I'm not bombarded with tons of voices. So maybe this is your sign that you should delete the app or mute some people or sign off of Facebook for a week. But I can promise you, I have never felt this way, and I haven't met anybody who has ever taken that break or silenced the voices in their head so that they could hear God, who's been like, dang, I really regret that. You know, I wish I was being bombarded with voices. I really enjoy the anxiety that comes with so many people's opinions and life choices and everything. And I've just never heard that. So anyways, I hope that this little comeback podcast blessed you guys. And again, if this video thing works out, you can watch me talk directly to you. Otherwise, I am so honored that you would listen to me and play this in your ear. And I'm working on some very, very special and exciting things. I've been writing down new goals. I just feel rejuvenated in life right now. Well, actually, let's be honest. I have, my days either go, I'm super rejuvenated and super goal-oriented and just, I feel like vision is flowing and inspiration and motivation, or I'm in like the deep dark hole. And I'm like, God, I don't know if I'll ever get out. I'm not motivated or inspired at all. But you know, I always get out, and he always is a good God and never leaves us there. So anyways, love you guys so much. Hope you're all doing well. Praying for you guys. On Instagram, I often do what's your prayer request? And I had thousands the other night, and I just want everyone to know, if you submitted one or if you ever message me one, especially if I see it, but even if I don't, I am constantly praying over all the requests that you guys say. It doesn't matter if I see them, it just matters that you put them out there and God sees them. So I just come into agreement that God sees them and that he will show up mightily in your life and that his will be done. in and through you guys, and hopefully through me. That's my goal. So yeah, love you guys so much. Thanks for listening or watching, whichever one you did, and I will see you guys next week. So happy to be back. Bye.